Hey guys, Rob Lord, broker owner. Today I want to tell you briefly about all the headlines you've been seeing about real estate commissions changing, buyer agency changing. There's a lot of little detail that I think no one's really wrapping their minds around when I'm talking to my clients, and I'm going to give you guys the most succinct, quick recap of that right now so you can truly understand what's happening. Just a quick refresher on how this commission thing has been working. So in a typical listing agreement, a seller is going to agree to pay 5 or 6% of the total sales price in commission to their agent, and then that listing agent is usually going to split that commission 50-50, so they'll give 2.5 or 3% to the buyer's agent for bringing a buyer. The current class action lawsuit is home sellers suing the big brokerages like Keller Williams, Coldwell Banker, Sotheby's, etc. And that class action lawsuit is essentially saying that the system is rigged where people are forced to pay a set amount to the buyer's agent, 2.5 or 3%. The desired outcome, especially from the Department of Justice's point of view, is they would like to see buyer agency and seller agency and those commissions decoupled, meaning sellers get to decide exactly what they're going to pay their agent for selling their house, and buyers get to pay their agent whatever they negotiate for helping them purchase a house. And guess what? These big brokerages are being forced to pay, and there's also rule changes to go along with this settlement agreement. Now, these are proposed changes, and they're not set to actually take hold until the middle of July of this year, 2024. In the current proposed settlement agreement, that system will be able to stay in place, sort of. The rule changes say that the buyer's commission can no longer be displayed in the MLS. So a buyer's agent is going to have to pick up the phone or text or somehow get a hold of the listing agent and find out what commission is being offered to them. Here's where it gets a little more interesting is the buyers have to have a signed representation commission agreement with their buyer's agent when they see the very first house. And that agreement has to actually say exactly what commission that the buyer's agent will be paid by that buyer. And the way it happens in the real world up till now is a buyer will call up an agent or get somebody to show them a house if they're not working directly with the listing agent. Buyer's agents will show a few houses typically before they'll even ask that buyer to sign an agreement to work with them. Now in this new arrangement, that agreement has to be signed immediately, and the commission structure has to be stuck with, for lack of a better term, by the buyers and the buyer's agent. So let's say Sally Q, the realtor, is showing the Joneses a house. She asked the Joneses to sign a commission agreement that says, no matter what house we buy, we're gonna pay you, Sally Q, 2.5% commission. Now, if the listing that the Jones wants to buy, the Jones family wants to buy, is offering a 0 commission to the buyer's agent, which is not going to be displayed in the MLS, if they're offering 0 commission to that agent, Sally, the Jones family will have to come out of pocket an extra 2.5% to cover Sally's commission. So you can see immediately this is a very big deal. Okay, now I want to break down what I think is most likely to happen based on these rule changes if the rules proposed actually are stuck with. So it goes one of two distinct directions. One, everything stays like it is. So buyer's agents will get their buyers to sign an agreement that says we're going to pay 2.5, 3%. And then most listing agents continue to get their sellers to offer, even though it's not shown in the MLS, 2.5, 3% buyer agent commissions. Scenario number one, rule changes are just stuff that realtors have to pay attention to, but it doesn't really affect how business is done. Scenario number two that I think is very likely to happen, not necessarily mid-July, but I think over time, is sellers seeing all these headlines that commission structure is being changed and they might not have to pay a buyer's agent anymore. Sellers will slowly gravitate towards not offering any buyer agent commission, or maybe very minimal buyer agent commission, like 1% or 0.5% or a set amount like $5,000 or something like that. The reason I say that is because in this business, real estate agents know that listings make livings. That's the way you consistently make money, is taking listings, having your sign in 10 different yards of houses that are not overpriced. That's the dream scenario for most real estate agents. Now, going into those appointments can be a very competitive thing. Many times home sellers will interview 3 or 4 or 5 agents. Now imagine if one of the agents says, by the way, seller family, you only have to pay me 2.5% total. That's the total commission. The buyers that come look at the house, they can pay their buyer agent directly thanks to these new rule changes. Now, if agents start proposing that reduced commission, and if those agents start getting hired en masse, and other agents are missing out on listings because they're not making that same value proposition to sellers, guess what? Agents are very competitive. They're all gonna start offering 2.5% or 3% total commission to sell the house and offering no buyer agent commission. And when that happens and buyers are having to pay their agents out of pocket, I think that buyer agency is going to quickly go away. The only personal thing I'll add to that that's gonna make this whole thing difficult is all of the home shopping platforms like Zillow, Realtor, Trulia, they're really set up to create buyer leads for buyer agents, meaning they don't make it very user-friendly to see who the listing agent is. So if I've got a listing on the beach in Destin and you wanna see it, you've gotta be a sleuth and kind of dig through and really look for my phone number to call me directly. And that's going to be, I think, standard operating procedure if this whole settlement agreement takes place. Again, probably not immediately in July, but as listing agents get very competitive in those listing appointments, I think we're gonna quickly turn to that. Now, all of this is just a proposed settlement agreement. The Department of Justice could step in and they could change it a little bit because things might not be working exactly the way the Department of Justice wanted it to work out, but I'll keep you guys posted on that. That's it from Grayton Beach. I will see you next time.